What's up, guys? I'm throwing in a live right now because I'm having a pretty good discussion on Facebook on Cuba. And here's the good thing about technology, right? Um, we can do so I co-authored the book Gold Bar Bob with Isabel Vincent over at the New York Post. And Gold Bar Bob was a product actually of about phew, 15 years of reporting almost. Uh, Along with just tons of research. And Gold Bar Bob is about this senator named Robert Menendez, and he was the most powerful Cuban American senator in in political history, in American history. And so the book chronicles his life and his career. Okay, both. And in doing all of this work that I did in writing the book, and and just applying it to the media landscape, because as I was working on the research part of a lot of the investigative pieces that were constructed over the years, um, I was working with different media people on different stories, and stuff concerning Bob Menendez and Cuba was overlapping with other issues and other news stories and other investigations. And so there's sort of a kaleidoscope here when you focus in on a man so powerful like Bob Menendez, and you're working in the media space. So much of what he did touched on so many areas of our lives that the reporting followed that, and a big part of what he was doing affected the lives of every Cuban in the world, whether on the island of Cuba or South Florida or in the New York area or where Bob was from, Union City, New Jersey, which, for those of you who have not read the book, Union City, New Jersey has the second highest population of Cuban exiles outside of Miami. Okay, so that's where Bob was from. And there's a difference there between the two communities, even though they're the same. They're all Cubans. There's actually a difference. So I've encouraged people to purchase the book. Okay. I'm not trying to sell the book. It's just that things are happening in Cuba right now. And if anyone is interested in what the true story is, you've got to read the book. Because think about it. If the most powerful Cuban American in the history of America, right, used his position all the way up to chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he used that position most of the time on issues related to Cuba. I, I would think that what he was doing had a heavy impact on what's happening today. I would assume, right? And so if you guys want to know at least that aspect of it, like in America on the political side, what was really happening over here with this conflict with Cuba, you've got to read the book. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just trying to tell you guys, if you don't read it, then you can't really have a real conversation on Cuba. You cannot. It's impossible. It's impossible. Now, look, some may think that the book was like something I just wrote out of my basement. It is not. It was distributed by Simon and Schuster. Bill O'Reilly reviewed it. It was reviewed by several national reviewers. I just did an interview for PBS on it. I've done several interviews with Bloomberg, national outlets. This book is not something that was just written up and self-published. No, this is an international book. It's been printed in other languages. You can get it in audiobook format. It was made into an audiobook. I mean, you can get it literally at any place that sells books. Target, uh, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart. It's probably on sale right now too. So, like, I'm not trying to sell the book. I'm just saying, if you guys want to have a serious conversation about what's happening in Cuba right now, you probably want to know about the most powerful politician on the American side who had the biggest impact on the situation for the longest amount of time? Bob Menendez. You probably want to know what he was doing. If you don't know that, you cannot talk on the subject. The good thing is you don't have to research it. I already did. It's in book format now. If you don't like reading, get it in an audiobook. Listen to it while you're in traffic going to work. But please, if you're not willing to listen to an audiobook that will inform you on a situation that's unfolding right now that affects your life, if you're not willing to listen to an audiobook in traffic for that type of thing, but all you want to do is come on and be a troll and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, like, why are you wasting everybody's time? But I guess some people feel good. They feel good to be able to disrespect others publicly. They get off on that. I get that. It's sad because some of you I have more respect for. I thought you guys were a little different, but I can see you're not. And I'll tell you what happens to people. It's the politics. Okay? Here's the truth. If you ever find yourself getting really angry about a political situation, the only reason why you're angry is because you're ignorant. Just let that simmer on your brain a little bit, some of you. Just let it simmer a little bit. If you get really angry about something in politics, the only reason why you're so angry is because you are ignorant. You don't know anything. You've got no clue what's going on. That's why you're mad. You're in the dark and you feel left out. Makes you angry because some of you are professionals in your fields. You're really good doctors, you're really good attorneys, and you assume because you've read a bunch of newspapers and you traveled to a country that you know it all. You think politics is something that you can learn by just picking it up on the side. That's what you think. And it's because you're ignorant, right? For your own professions, if you're an attorney, you guys put in so much time and effort and serious effort into your practice, right? But then you think you can master politics by just winging it? Could you master your practice by just winging it? By just reading some articles? If you're a physician, could you master your practice by reading newspaper articles in Men's Health magazine? And that's all you were doing? Or because you read some blogs, so now you can be an orthopedic surgeon? But that's what you guys are doing with politics. You guys think that being an orthopedic surgeon takes all this skill, and it does. But then you look at politics and you think that doesn't take skill. It takes more skill to operate at a high level of politics than it does to be an orthopedic surgeon. I'm telling you right now. And here's the reason why. Because if you mess up as an orthopedic surgeon, the worst case scenario is you lose your license. And that's really hard to do. If you're a really, really good physician, you're an expert orthopedic surgeon, it's impossible basically for you to lose your license. Virtually impossible. So worst case scenario for someone like that is they get hit up with some malpractice insurance and they get hassled at their job a little bit. That's if they make the worst mistake of their career. That's how bad it'll be for them. But with politics, one mistake, millions can die. I'm not saying every decision is millions of lives are at risk. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, in the profession, in the practice of politics, the people who are in the places where decisions are made, and they are, whether it's in the media or whatever sector it is, it's politics. Okay. I'm not talking about just Congress and politicians. I'm talking about the entire infrastructure, the lobbyists, all of it, the attorneys, the media, the operatives, all of it. Everyone in that zone, when they get up to the highest levels, okay, there will be times where if they may make a mistake, other people's lives will end. People will be unalived. That's how serious politics is. That's why you have to be more of an expert at politics if you're going to be in that than an orthopedic surgeon, because of the impact that it has on other people's lives. So you guys shouldn't be out here who are professionals, attorneys and stuff, and looking at politics like it's some backyard game. It's serious. And the people who operate at the highest levels are no joke. They're not out here winging it, guys, like you guys are. So please, if you want to talk about a serious issue that's affecting your life, which a lot of us in South Florida, Cuba affects us, if you really want to know about it, please go get a copy of Gold Bar Bob or listen to it in traffic in an audiobook. Because I promise you, it will open your eyes to this situation in a way that it would shock you, because it's a reality that the public doesn't know, even though it's sitting right there in a book, and it relates to what's happening right now. And what's crazy is I can see by the responses from the general public, the people who haven't read the book, who are responding to me to what I'm saying about Cuba right now. You guys are saying I'm some kind of right-wing propagandist. I am not. Read the book. If I'm such a propagandist, you would see it in my work. Read the book. After you read it, you will understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I'll give you a little preview of it. If you still don't believe me, let me give you this one thing about that you can find in the book that should right now, if you're someone who really wants to know what's going on, this should make you think a little bit. All right. And here's what it is. So everyone assumes that the U.S. policy towards Cuba was coming from the gringos here in America, that it was Reagan and Bush and these guys, Clinton and blah, 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 whatever. Okay. Bush, whatever. Second Bush. People are assuming that, this was a colonialist type adventure dealing with Cuba. And it was, the typical America goes out and tries to usurp another nation's resources and tries to colonialize them, and they bring the devil to turn the place evil and this and that and this and that. This is the storyline of all the people who continue to ask me different questions on Facebook. Okay, fine. This is what you guys believe, but that's not the reality. That's not what was going on the American side. The truth of the reality is this: American policy toward Cuba was not coming out of the White House. Ever. It just wasn't. And that's what makes the situation actually scarier. That's what people are understanding. This wasn't a situation where it was Fidel Castro versus the president of the United States. That's not what was going on all those decades. The situation was, it was Fidel Castro against a group of former Cuban exiles, a whole group. And that group is who was going against Fidel. Yes, they had the support. I'll give an example of how America supported the situation, right? So a lot of these guys they got trained by the CIA and got trained by the military to do the Bay of Pigs thing. And so after they got captured and tortured and they were in prison, they got let loose. When they came back out, they formed different groups. Okay. And these groups were basically getting support from our government. But that's different from our government, the White House, going out and recruiting a bunch of guys, a bunch of Americans, training them and sending them out. That's not how it worked. It was basically a system where the White House, the United States, the Washington D.C., the White House, basically subleased Cuba out to this group of Cuban exiles here in the United States. Basically, the United States of America and the presidency, the Oval Office, the executive branch, gave up the direct responsibility of Cuba and handed it off to this group of Cuban exiles. That's what happened. And this group of Cuban exiles, the spine of it was the Cuban mafia. And so basically the US government outsourced, okay, privatized the relationship between our two nations by handing it over to an organization of Cuban exiles who were supported and maintained through the Cuban mafia. Okay. And how did that happen? Well, so when Senator Bob Menendez, was moving up the ranks from local politician in New Jersey to national level, his first run for office for the House of Representatives was totally backed by a set of Cuban exiles who were Cuban activists and they were millionaires. Okay. And what they were doing, this is very interesting, it's in the book. They were financing terrorist attacks throughout the Caribbean and Central and South America on countries that were being friendly to Fidel. So if a country was being friendly to Fidel, like Guyana, for example, what those guys did was they put a bomb on a plane that was flying from Barbados to Cuba, I guess, or Haiti, I think Cuba. But they put a bomb on and blew it up. And so a bunch of Guyanese citizens were killed in a terrorist attack in the 70s. That was paid for by these Cuban exiles who were basically given the job of the American government to be the counterforce to Fidel. That's who did that. And the way they did it was they were paying for these attacks through this clothing store in Union City, New Jersey. I'm not making it up. It's all in the book. Okay, so while they were sending out checks to fund bombs all over the Caribbean and Central and South America, at the same bank accounts were being used to finance Bob Menendez's first run ever to the United States House of Representatives. Almost all of his funding came from those same accounts that were being used to bomb people in all throughout the Caribbean. The same accounts that were used to blow up the plane full of Guyanese, okay, were being used to fund Bob's political campaign. So this wasn't what people think it was. Okay, it was not. I think Bob outspent his opponent 18-1 and flat out won that race so easy. Okay. The sanctions that were placed on Cuba, the really bad ones on the Bush Sr., that was orchestrated by Bob Menendez, Robert Torricelli, and Bill Clinton. That's who did that. Yeah. Bush did not want to put sanctions on Cuba, but here was the issue. There was this young governor from Arkansas who was thinking of running for president. And Bush looked at that and was like, "Oh, so when Clinton got together with Bob Menendez and Torricelli, they ran to Bush's right. And basically what they were forcing him to do was he had to go along with the sanctions, or Bill Clinton would have been able to gain a political advantage within his base." And Bill Clinton was such a threat to Bush. As you can see, he ended up beating Bush, even though Bush relented and put more sanctions onto Cuba. That's all in the book too. So when people talk about, oh, it's the Americans doing this and that, no, no, no. Bill Clinton worked with Bob Menendez and Robert Torricelli to get those sanctions really pushed down hard on the Cubans. He did that when he was still governor of Arkansas. He was not president of the United States when he did that. So that's what I'm saying. There's this group of people. You can call it the deep state or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's in the book. Those were the guys who were running the policy from Washington, D.C., all the way down to the terrorist attacks in Havana. That's who was doing this. That's who Fidel was fighting. That's who the communists were up against. They were not up against our government. Our government turned a blind eye. Our government said, man, that's a mess that we don't want to get involved in. You Cuban guys, you deal with it. That's what happened. So all this stuff about right-wing ideology and this and that, I just told you right now, and I can go on with all these details. It would be better if you guys just read the book or listen to the audiobook. Then we can have these discussions about what's really going on with Cuba. But I have to say, to finish all this off, what makes this so complicated is that, and the book gets into this, okay? Along the way, the Cuban exile opposition to Fidel became aligned with Fidel. They did. And it was through corruption that it happened. Because when those sanctions were just stamped down hard on that Castro regime, they had to go deeper into the black market of things. And that's where the mafia is. And so what it forced happened, what happened is as the sanctions came down hard on them, now Fidel had to work more with the Cuban mafia, who were also aligned with the American mafia. And those were the guys who were the true power base underneath Bob Menendez. So that's why I say he was the first ever mob boss in Congress. This is how he became that. This is how it happened. He worked with Bill Clinton and Robert Torricelli to put the worst sanctions in history on a country onto Cuba. It forced the Castro regime to survive, to go deep into the black markets. And guess who was waiting there for them to do deals with them and get paid and make money? The U.S. mafia and the Cuban mafia. And Bob was giving them political cover the entire time. So what's happening in Cuba is more of a criminal situation more than anything else, because Washington, D.C. decided to turn a blind eye to the situation and decided to put the deepest, darkest of sanctions on the place and just allow people to do whatever the hell they wanted to do, which basically turned it into the whole thing on all sides became a one big criminal enterprise. And that's what you're seeing falling apart now, is a criminal enterprise. Everybody else you guys are out here who are mad at me for what I'm saying. You won't read the book to see how what I'm saying is true. You won't get the audio book, but you're going to sit here and say, I'm spewing out right-wing propaganda. You don't even know what what I'm saying right now. You guys have never even heard in your life. You haven't. But then you're going to say that, oh, this is right-wing propaganda. Stop it, man. Read the book, guys. I hope I said enough on this live to convince you to get the book so that you can really understand what's going on in Cuba. That is a criminal operation on all sides. The U.S. side, the Cuban side, the Russian side, the Chinese side, is all criminals. Sanctions did that. They're all criminals. And they all got sucked into it. That's why Bob Menendez is in jail right now. They all got sucked into the criminality that the sanctions forced on the situation. I'm going to say it again. Read the book. So what we're seeing now is that regime falling. What we're seeing now is Washington D.C. saying, "Oh, we need to pay attention to Cuba now." That's what's happening now. What you all are seeing in the world right now is Cuba changing because Washington, D.C. has decided to turn the lights on. The lights have been off in the Cuba room in D.C. for decades now. That's the only difference. That's the only difference between now and all of these decades before under Fidel is that under Fidel, DC had the Cuba room light off. Dark sanctions, black market mafia, criminality, spies. That's what Washington D.C. turned that place and the whole situation into. Now that's over. The lights are on. Washington D.C. is paying attention, and everyone's seeing the fallout from that. It's about damn time. It's about damn time. If you don't believe me, please get the book, get the audio book, do something. But don't continue to come on my page claiming that I'm going off of right-wing propaganda when I know more than every single one of these guys combined times 10 on this issue. I'm sorry. And if you don't believe it, read the book and then come back to me after that. Please, I dare you. With that said, guys, have a great day. I thank you, the supporters out there. I appreciate it. I know a lot of you do know. I don't brag about it. I don't brag. I don't say that I'm the biggest professional and I know this. I don't brag. I don't try to send out my accolades. I don't try to say I don't list all the different articles, all the different investigative things. I don't do all of that. But the people who support me, you guys can feel it and you know it. And I'm always telling the truth. And if you think I'm wrong, I have written on this subject a bunch. There's a book on it. I've got video out on there. Show me specifically, quote me, and then show me where it's wrong, and then we can talk. Other than that, don't assign to me something that I've never said or done when I've got literally right now over 100,000 words on the subject that you can obtain online. Go ahead and obtain those words. There's over 100,000 words I have under my name on this subject between me co-authoring Gold Bar Bob and all the stuff I've written. It's there. Go through it all. Even use AI, maybe spit it through AI if you want, and find where I'm incorrect. And then we can talk. But don't make it up and say that, oh, you're just spitting out right-wing propaganda. I'm not. So hopefully this live cleared up a little bit for you guys. But this is serious, and this is a criminal situation on all sides, and it's very delicate what's happening. A lot of negotiations have to happen, and it is bad that Washington, D.C. has ignored Cuba for all these decades. It was a travesty. But thank God Trump is paying attention now. You can claim that he's doing it because he's the devil and all that, whatever you guys want to say. But I'm telling you, him turning on the lights on Cuba and making Cuba a priority in Washington, D.C. directly, Washington, D.C. there is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a much better situation than what we've all lived through for the past few decades, where you've got the mafia guys and the corrupt politicians on the one side in America, and then you've got the communist, psycho, terrorist, spy, criminal guys on the other side. And we're all in between it all is what was going on. That's over now. So I don't know what all these crazy guys are going to go do with their life now, but they should go retire, man, and go out on the beach somewhere and relax. But all these games that have been going on, all the criminality that's been going on, it's about time that it's over. And it's about time that the Cuban people can get together and live together on their island. It's theirs. Thanks again, guys, for all the support. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Now I'ma put it down like that. I'm leaving, I ain't coming back. You don't like the way I act anyway. You really don't have to react. Don't try to change my mind, in fact. Honey, I've already packed all my stuff. We're no longer kids, let's move on. And you are not my kid, so I'm done. Please don't make me pull my gun. Sorry boy, I can't be the one. You know it, yeah. Nothing lasts forever. You know that a change will make it better. You know that nothing lasts forever. You know that, yeah, change will make it better. There's no one to blame, you see. Maybe we're not meant to be. There are plenty more fish in the sea anyway. Every day's a different thing, so I'm not into wedding rings. It ain't personal, it's the way I think. Yeah. You know it, nothing lasts forever. And you know